If I am to preach this passage rightly to you this morning, my aim is to make you despair. And this book aims at despair at the outset because your joy is its goal. The route to your joy through the book of Ecclesiastes is more despair, not less. And if I could give you perhaps the main reason for despair in this passage, look down with me at verse 15. The king says, "What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted." What the king is saying there is, friend, you cannot fix the world because you cannot account for everything that's going on. There are things you do not know, and you cannot count what you cannot know. None of us can. So it seems the secular West's pursuit of joy and progress is hindered ultimately because it's not skeptical enough. In the age of what we might call the rise of skepticism, I think the king here would say to the West, you aren't as skeptical as you think you are. If you listen to Harvard's family psychology professor, this is atheist Steven Pinker, who writes, "With this is human understanding of the world, advanced by science and our circle of sympathy expanded through reason and cosmopolitanism, humanity could make intellectual and moral progress. For all the flaws in human nature, it contains the seeds of its own improvement, as long as it comes up with norms and institutions that channel individual interests into universal benefits." Translation, humans, we can save ourselves. And I think Ecclesiastes is going to contend that Pinker's optimism, atheism's optimism about man's ability is actually enslaving. Pinker and secularists are too trusting. They're not very skeptical at all. Joy cannot be found in unbridled allegiance to human intellect. Joy for mankind begins once you and I despair of the limits of our ability and knowledge. We cannot skip this. So how is it? What's an example of a way in which despair might be a path to salvation or joy? Consider Ocean Gate. I hope you're familiar with Ocean Gate. A couple of weeks ago, 5 billionaires went to the bottom of the sea because of human ability, only to be crushed under thousands of pounds of pressure turned into goo in an instant, thanks to Stockton Rush. And I wonder, could he and his 4 passengers not have been saved if Stockton had despaired more of his wisdom? Would they not have been spared of their ocean graves if Stockton had embraced that perhaps there was a limit to his knowledge? Don't you hear the folly of his words when he says, "You're remembered for the rules you break"? I've broken some rules to make this submersible. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. And we know how tragically wrong he was. For Stockton and his passengers, life would remain today if they had more despair about his knowledge instead of their confidence or trust. And so the book of Ecclesiastes is going to aim to save us by fostering a despair of self-reliance in order to replace it with a God-centered dependence on the Lord's wisdom.